Oh, welcome to Confessions of an Ag Teacher Educator. So, this is the Ag Ed Parli division. Teach a parliamentary procedure class, which we have a lot of fun with. Remember, the purposes of these episodes is to provide in-the-moment, immediate reflection on practice. How did the teaching go? What did we learn? And what am I thinking as an instructor, as a teacher educator, on how I could do it better? Quite frankly, I'm often thinking about how I could do it better. Nothing is more important than appropriate planning. No matter how many years you've been teaching, every time you swing in and try to row from the cuff, you get lucky a couple times, but it'll bite you in the tail before long. And so planning is important. So in this Ag Ed Parli division, I'm also going to geek out about some parliamentary procedure in this episode. Stick with me. First off, what about the teaching? Well, remember, this was a student design course, which I love, but as part of pedagogical content knowledge, sometimes you don't know how long things take. And if we look at the title of this episode, the difference between covering versus learning, cats cover stuff in a litter box. We're here to learn. And just because the syllabus says, oh yeah, we're supposed to have completed this and move on, if we haven't exhibited the appropriate mastery or the appropriate level of comprehension to those foundational pieces, then why just move on and continue to add to the confusion? So today we were supposed to learn about incidental motions, but I discovered that as an instructor, I had lacked clarity on teaching about certain aspects of subsidiary motions. And to be honest, here's one fundamental block that I just didn't talk about. The difference between an original main motion, one that introduces a substantive new idea, and an incidental main motion, a motion that's usually of secondary class that's presented when no other pending business to help deal with the business at hand or the business of the organization. And they didn't understand the difference, so we had to talk about that some today and go over some quizzes and do some fun things. Another good thing that happened is I found a way. I have all these wonderful materials from the National Association of Parliamentarians and from other places. As I've traveled around, I can't keep my hands off parliamentary educational materials, so I kind of collect them. And I'm like, okay, well, how do you work that in so the students know about their existence? Figured out a way finally. And so we play a game at the beginning of class that we're going to start using every class period that has two pieces. One, I leave the resources in the classroom that I have access to, and as soon as you get there, you grab and you find something you want to share, so you can begin to engage with those different instructional resources. So you know what's available when you're trying to create some of those artifacts of learning, like a unit of instruction on parliamentary procedure or a workshop. And then you share that. And after you share it, you also get to play Stump the Chump. And usually I'm the chump. But Stump the Chump involves them asking a question to the entire class about the class of motions that we're learning on. And so it's making them frame and create a question or an assessment, which is furthering their own learning in that motion. Driving them into the Robert's Rules of Order 11th edition to read further and deeper and have better comprehension of those motions. So pretty stoked of that piece that we added. So as I kind of wrap that up, bad thing or an awareness is that you have to consider zone of proximal development. Have we learned the prerequisite knowledge necessary to move forward and progress? If not, we learn it again because our goal is learning, not covering. Just because I ran through a syllabus doesn't mean everybody's learned it. The second piece is that we can come back and play a game to introduce instructional resources like we played with Stump the Chump. Now for the parliamentary piece. I told you I was going to geek out some. So some of you, I don't know really who's watching this, maybe nobody, but we have a question on one of our quizzes. And it said, here's the question, the multiple choice question, 3 choices. As soon as a member has made a motion, he, and here are your choices, A, resumes his seat, B, remain standing knowing that he'll be recognized first, or C, remain standing in case any member wishes to suggest a change in the motion. So we rule out C, and that leaves us 2 choices. A member's made the motion. Can they resume his seat, or does he remain standing? That's really what we're asking. First off, it's immaterial. I didn't spend a lot of energy in class today because I want to focusing on the big picture at this point, but it's interesting. Our first step is when they answer these questions, they have to have a citation to back them up, and if they can show a citation, they get credit. Well, look at this. We found on page 27, and I'll turn and read to it, page 27, line 35, and it's going to go over to page 30. Okay, so we found 2 citations less than 3 pages apart. Page 27, line 35, and it reads, 29, excuse me, page 29, line 35, 26 actually. The chair stands up. The member then has the floor and can remain standing and speak in debate or make a motion as permitted under the rules in this book, depending on the parliamentary situation at the time. So I have a citation directly from Roberts that says a member can remain standing and speak in debate. Well, then if we turn over from page 30 to page 34 says, lines 1 through 6, as soon as a member has made a motion, he resumes his seat. So what's the most correct answer? Well, as a teacher, I threw this question out and get credit for both. But that's just kind of an interesting parliamentary situation where 4 pages apart from page 30 to page 34 in Roberts, there is an apparent conflict. But maybe it's clear and I'm just not getting it. I invite all of my parliamentarian friends who may see this to please email me at foster@psu.edu or tweet at FosterDanielD and let me know, how would you answer the question? If you had 2 choices, resume the seat after making the motion or remain standing, which is the most appropriate and most correct answer? Well, thank you for tuning in to this episode of Confessions of an Ag Teacher Educator, Parliamentary Procedure Edition, our series, and I look forward to catching you on the flip side.